Cotton and Carl Hall. Get your hands up. We'll locate you quickly. On the left, second row.
Mary Rachel Rudman, KSN, Wichita. Malcolm, you came out like a man possessed. What was kind of your motivation today?
Defense. Came out early. Knew I had to set the tone defensively in order to get us going. So just knew if I came out and was aggressive on defense that it would just carry over and get transition buckets for us.
Question front row on the right.
Bruce Ertl, KWCH, for the three guys. How personal was this game for you guys, especially after the way the game ended up at Normal, Illinois?
Carl, why don't you start with that one?
We were just trying to come in the game and execute and play hard, and we were just trying to stay focused throughout the game. And it wasn't anything personal. I mean, it was just a game we had to win.
Takeo, any thought about that?
We just really coming out here to accomplish one of our goals for the season, and that's to win this whole thing. So you got to take one game at a time, and that was one game. Now we go on to the next game.
Other questions? On the left.
Danny Spiewak, Slam Magazine. Carl, when you're the first 12 minutes of that game, they don't have a field goal. What does that feel like to be so good defensively in that stretch?
It feels good when you're getting stops, and man, I was just trying to tell the guards don't help me as much and not leave the shooters open. So I was just trying to chest Carmichael up and make it tough for him all night. So.
Question second row on the right.
Takeo looked like trying to deny Tyler Brown, just keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible. Was that most of the plan against him?
Yes, sir, it was. It was our coaching staff's plan to X him out, so that's what we did.
Other questions for our student athletes? Again, second row on the left.
What was the conversation at halftime when they came back there at the end?
Carl, why don't you start?
I was just telling the guys to stay focused and keep getting out there on defense, and good things will happen.
Malcolm, any thought?
Basically, like what Carl said, we know that a good team's gonna make runs, so you got to be able to control it and stay composed at the time. But defense and rebound, that was our mind frame going into the game, and we knew that would get us further.
Next question, second row on the right.
Malcolm, it looked like in the second half, did you do a better job against the zone by maybe getting the ball inside a little bit? Just tell us what you did in the second half against that zone.
Can you repeat that?
In the second half, you were more effective working against the zone. Why? What were you guys doing better then?
Instead of just swinging it around the perimeter, Coach told us to be patient and try to get it inside, not just throw it around the perimeter, because you get it to the heart of the zone, which is the middle, good things will happen. So that's what we tried to do.
Other questions for our student athletes? Again, second row on the left.
You guys get another crack at Creighton. What's the single most important thing you have to do tomorrow, you think, to win it all?
We got to play hard and execute. Creighton's a very good team, and if you don't execute on defense, they make you pay. So we just gonna concentrate on executing and not leaving shooters open.
Anything else? Second row on the right, please.
Yeah, Takeo, when Carl can do a pretty good job on Carmichael and not need a whole lot of help, how much does that help everybody else keeping track of shooters?
Oh, it definitely helps everybody else, because when he says that he has Carmichael all by himself, people don't really have to dig as much, and I mean, he obviously can guard by himself, so that's a plus.
A last question perhaps for the Shockers. On the right.
Adam Knapp, KWCH. Carl, you said it's a matter of not leaving shooters open against Creighton. Isn't that easier said than done against Creighton? They're so good at creating their own shots.
Could you repeat that? I couldn't hardly hear you. I'm sorry.
Not leaving good shooters open, easier said than done against Creighton. What's the big key against a team that's so good at creating their own shots? Particularly, I'm talking about Doug.
I just got to come ready to play, man, and I really can't say nothing because he's really good at creating. So I just got to do the best job I can on him and make it difficult for him and not give him angles, so the guards won't have to help as much, So I'm gonna just try to make it hard for him and give him different looks every time.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time and attention. Congratulations on the win, and you can retire to your locker room. Questions for Coach Marshall. Down here, front row on the right, please.
Greg, can you talk about the total team defensive effort, and in particular, Takale's effort against Brown tonight?
Yeah, we held them to 29%, 26% from three. It's a very talented basketball team. They've got guys that can score even when well guarded. Tyler Brown, Coach Jans was primarily responsible for the scout, did a wonderful job. We were talking about how hot he had been over the last X amount of games, and I don't know how many games there had been, but I looked back through their game notes, and since February 3rd, I think they played a game on the 2nd, and he scored 20-something. No, excuse me, he was below 20. Since the 3rd of February, so that's a little over a month. I don't know how many games that is, but it's double digits. He had scored 20-plus and a couple of times 30-plus every game. Now he's gone except for 2 games. Last whatever, when we were in Bloomington Normal, he had 17, and tonight he had 9. Takale Cotton I'm going to do an addendum to try to get him individually for the all-defensive team. I mean, it's a travesty that he's not on that all-defensive team. When Mr. Brown comes in here, you can ask him, but I think Takale Cotton deserves a little recognition.
Question down on the left.
Bob Lutz, Wichita Eagle. The Creighton-Wichita State Series has so much intrigue already, but now there's the added factor of potentially being Creighton's final game in the Valley. Does that bring any sentimentality into this thing?
Well, we've never won in St. Louis, so, I mean, we've got a little sentimentality. Is that the word, sentimentality? That's a lot of syllables, Bob. On our side as well. You know, we're gonna try to cut down nets. They're going to try to cut down nets, maybe an exit. So I'd rather them be a little sad leaving than all jacked up leaving. So it's it's going to make for great drama, great TV. They're a wonderful offensive team, and I mean, we look at this. We give up 51, and then last weekend we give up 91. That's how good they can be.
I know we had more raised hands over here on the left at one point. On the right, please. Second row.
Paul Solentop from the Wichita Eagle. Greg, was this kind of a VCU Iowa defensive effort, and how did they get to that point?
It was one of the top 5 to 10 for the season. Great contest. I mean, they couldn't score. I don't know how many minutes they went. It was at least into single digits on the clock before they got a basket. And there were a couple of, God, we keep putting them at the foul line, but they were having a hard time putting the ball in the basket. And this is a prolific scoring team when they got it going. You saw Tyler Brown yesterday. I mean, it's an entirely different guy. And, Mark Sonnen's a good defender. And he kept working, and eventually Tyler Brown missed some. But he can get it going. And Jackie Carmichael's a special talent as well. But our guys defensively, as a group, as a unit, and it wasn't just Takale Cotton. I thought Malcolm, you mentioned, was just tremendous. We were getting not only stops, and we were so active in cleaning the glass and getting transition. We had spray aheads and 3-on-1s. I know Cotton missed a couple of bunnies in the first half in transition that I thought he should have just stuck in the basket, dunked it or whatever. But obviously he's not in there for his offense.
Bob Lutz, again, you go up 15-0, yet they come back and take a lead about 6.5 minutes later. Or late in the second half. What happened at the start of the second half that was a key for you guys, you think?
Basically, we got a little better defensively, like we started the game, and we started scoring. The reason they went on their run, not only were we're not defending as well as we had been, we were not as good offensively either. We couldn't score against that zone. We had a couple of nice looks. We turned it over a couple times. I mean, we didn't get a shot once or twice. So, good ploy by them. They're not really a zone team, but they were doing some sort of a matchup zone. They were going with cutters. So kudos to them for the switch, because it was getting kind of ridiculous early on, and then they turned it around, took their run, and then we reestablished early in the second half.
Third row or second row on the right.
Yeah, were you able to kind of regroup and figure out the zone a little bit at halftime? Was that helpful there in the second half?
Yeah, we talked about a few things that You know, I wasn't able to get through to them during the media timeouts and whatnot.
Any other questions for Coach Marshall? Second row on the left.
Would you say that the guys are playing more as a team right now? I mean, they just seem to kind of have a unified effort.
Well, I mean, we've had a great team effort all year. I mean, we've got 26 up and 7 down. They're certainly not perfect, but by and large, they share the ball. They've defended as a team very, very well. This one was one that we, you know, knew that they were jacked up. We had heard and read that this is just what they wanted, and so we were going to make sure that they got everything that we could bring to the table.
On the right.
Coach Chris Fry, KTV in Wichita. Without giving away the game plan for tomorrow, how do you plan for a Greg McDermott or a Doug McDermott, not stopping him, but more or less trying to slow him down because he's been playing out of control here of late?
Well, if Greg McDermott scores, that's going to be good for us because there'll be a couple of technical fouls. I know he can really dance. I watched that deal with the bobblehead, whatever you call it. He and Mr. Rasmussen, I guess, I don't know the third gentleman, but boy, they can really dance. So I know he can dunk too. I've heard that he could dunk. I haven't seen it, but I've heard he could dunk. That was on a YouTube video or something. So, I mean, he's multi-talented and a great coach, by the way. But I hope he scores a couple, because then he'll get run up out of here. I think they might let him go. I don't know. His son, on the other hand, you know, just hope he misses. You got to guard him well and hope he misses. He's as good a player as I've seen in this league in 6 years, and I think should be considered for National Player of the Year, if not be the National Player of the Year. Strong consideration, and we did a pretty good job at 4 or 5 times we've played him, and then he got loose last Saturday. So we'll see which way it goes this time.
Our last question in the session will be on the right, second row.
Yeah, I understand Clee was not feeling well. Maybe it's kind of a question to play. What happened there?
I'm not a doctor, but what I heard was gastrointestinitis. Big word. Bob, help me. Huh?
I think it's gastroenteritis.
There you go. Are you a doctor?
No.
Okay.
Had it.
Okay. Yeah, something like that. One of those terms, but that means it's coming out both ends. It's not pretty. We don't really want to talk about it, but you guys ask, okay? So it was a game time decision. He got some IV fluids in the morning and just gutted it out.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the win. We will see you tomorrow.